Hello and welcome to This Week, a weekly news program. I'm your host, Ulaanbaatar. The regular cabinet meeting of the government was held on March 22nd and issues regarding corruption, traffic and Silk River were discussed. In a bid to fight corruption, the government of Mongolia has declared 2023 as the year of fighting corruption. The Prime Minister has given the order to intensify the fight against corruption, and the government has implemented 5 anti-corruption measures, which are called Whistle, Sweep, Bird, Takeover and Glass. These measures are designed to eradicate corruption in all sectors of society. At today's meeting, the Prime Minister gave several instructions. As part of the bird operation, he gave instructions for us to cooperate with law enforcement agencies in closing and freezing the personal accounts of people who have fled abroad. The number of people who are being investigated by the Independent Authority Against Corruption and who have escaped from the investigation stage has increased to 18. There are more than 100 people belonging to other investigative organizations. The task was to intensify the search and investigation of these people. According to the prosecutor's decree, the foreign passports of the above-mentioned persons were revoked and the border control authorities of foreign countries were instructed to notify them. Also, it has been decided to close the accounts opened in Mongolia, which are used abroad and are used to transfer money from Mongolia. Based on the detective's proposal, it is planned to be carried out in cooperation with the prosecutor's office. One of the anti-corruption measures, Operation Bird, involves the extradition of individuals who have fled to foreign countries during the proceedings related to corruption charges. The names of 92 fugitives have been announced, and the number of people who have escaped has increased by 18. The meeting has given the responsibility to bring these people back and hold them accountable in accordance with the international agreements and the laws of Mongolia. Furthermore, actions will be taken to freeze the accounts of the absconders. The Prime Minister has also mandated the creation of a legal framework that would clarify the system in which the private sector is held liable under the criminal law if a government organization or official obstructs it from doing its work. This move is aimed at ensuring that private sector companies can operate freely without fear or interference from government officials. In addition to the fight against corruption, the government of Mongolia is also working on improving the quality and availability of public transport services in Ulaanbaatar city, the capital city. The Special Road High-Capacity Bus Project and the Spare Recovery Project are set to be started in 2023. The chairman of the National Committee for the Reducing Road Congestion in Ulaanbaatar city, presented the projects at the cabinet meeting. The Special Road High-Capacity Bus Project involves the construction of high-capacity special roads in the cross directions of the road network of Ulaanbaatar city and the introduction of large-capacity buses for public transport services. The project is aimed at reducing traffic congestion and availability of public transport services in the city. The project is part of comprehensive measures to coordinate with the major projects and programs that will be implemented in the future. This project supports the consensus view that there are many opportunities to alleviate traffic congestion. Subsequently, the ministers were assigned the task of carrying out this work in 2023 and studying the means of financing. The first phase of public transport fleet renewal works has been completed. In addition to school buses, more than 400 new buses have been imported. Work is being organized to finance the second phase of work renovation from the state budget. In addition, 87% of electric buses will be imported on September 1st, and eco buses will be imported by coming autumn. There is a need to update some public transport regulations. It is planned to be submitted to Cabinet in cooperation with the ministers. In general, last winter we saw that the public transport sector fell to its lowest point. We are working to ensure that this situation does not repeat itself next winter. The Spare Recovery Project involves the construction of a flood dam along the Silk River, the building of a water pond to increase the flow of the river, and the creation of pedestrian paths, bicycle paths, and environmental landscaping along the river. The project is designed to reduce the risk of flooding, balance the ecological system of the city, and create a healthy and safe living environment for citizens. Furthermore, the government of Mongolia has instructed Finance Minister Jakhlan and Capital Governor Ulaanbaatar to urgently study the sources of funding required in 2023 for the projects and measures to reduce traffic congestion in Ulaanbaatar city. They are expected to develop a proposal for measures to be taken and presented to the cabinet meeting within the next month. In conclusion, the government of Mongolia is taking various measures to fight corruption and improve the quality of life for its citizens. The Special Road High-Capacity Bus Project and the Spare Recovery Project are just two of the many initiatives being implemented by the government to achieve these goals. As of 2023, about 53,000 citizens of Mongolia are working and living in the Republic of South Korea. In order to bring these citizens closer to receiving government services, a fast service center has been placed at the consulate department of Seoul City.
In this way, citizens can get 440 types of services with the assistance of an operator and 70 types of directory and digital signatures with the assistance of the vehicle for free. I have been living in Korea for 6 years. These documents were difficult to obtain. We are required to get a Mongolian phone number in our name. For one thing, we used to receive through the Hanbank application. After taking your fingerprint, you can get your registration number and 73 types of documents directly. A quick service car has been provided and can be used for many jobs in one place. In the future, the number of services will be increased, and by 2023, about 800 services of 55 organizations will be delivered through the fast services point of government, according to the ministry. Also, the service building of the Labor and Social Security Center in Seoul and the consulate in Busan will be opened.
Through this system, we opened the possibility for citizens to get reference letters free of charge from 73 government organizations. The part of the settlement of how to pay and receive payments for public services is being solved one way. In the near future, it'll be possible to get more than 280 services from the government through one window from the point of the State E-Services Coordination Office.
Citizens can get services they can get in Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia at embassies and consulates everywhere in the Republic of Korea. We are committed to promoting it. As the e-Mongolia system continues to improve, we will make the citizens aware that the availability of that information will increase. Experts say that in the future, not limited to South Korea, they will work on providing government services to their citizens quickly through the consulates of embassies and consulates of other countries where Mongolians live.
The requirement of improving building standards to comply with earthquake-proof standards right through the whole process, from the design until the completion, will now be strictly enforced. This is because Ulaanbaatar city is considered to be an earthquake-active zone.
More than 10 years ago, our country started assessing the ability of buildings to withstand earthquakes. Unfortunately, of the around 29,000 buildings in the capital, 19 were built before 2019. As of today, 944 buildings have been assessed for earthquake resistance.
Disaster preparedness is critical. The importance of consultation is that citizens, government organizations, construction companies, and construction clients should pay close attention to it.
According to the research conducted by the Institute of Astronomy and Geophysics of the Academy of Sciences, there are 6 active earthquake fault lines around the city. Also, Japanese scientists discovered more fault lines in other areas after a 3-year study.
Mongolia has a construction law and building safety regulations. According to that norm, any building is built on the construction site according to the drawing made by us.
In our country, there are 4 types of controls for construction quality: internal control of the constructor's company and daily process of the client organization, control of the author's period, and control of the professional team. If these controls will be fully implemented, it will be possible not having to be concerned about the quality and safety of the building.
Members of the Mongolian People's Party in the parliament believe that it is right to discuss the anti-corruption law at the regular spring session of the cabinet meeting. Parliament had previously given the government the duty to study and discuss the divide and distribution of witness town law. The government is continuing its investigation into the matter related to this company. The head of the government secretariat explained that in the future, every Mongolian citizen should be a shareholder. In the future, 1,072 share certificates should be obtained directly when the new child is born. Since the share is not intended for trading, it is correct to switch to a form where the right to own 1,072 shares automatically ceases when the owner of the share dies. This is the advice given to the stock exchange and consulting companies operating in the stock market. According to the leadership of the Mongolian People's Party in Parliament, the relevant working group of Parliament has prepared the draft law on parliamentary elections and sent it to the government for approval. It is also planned to submit the project on political parties to the National Assembly in the near future. Some members of the Parliament are of the opinion that there is a need to amend the criminal law to improve child protection and further combat child abuse.
There is only reference to child abuse if it is the context of domestic violence. She said that this amendment, which will tighten the sentencing policy, will be included in the criminal law. We are also going to discuss the spring session of the Minister of Justice.
Also, the Mongolian People's Party group in Parliament said that the government needs to come up with an opinion on curbing the increase in the prices of goods, increasing the loan amount of banks, increasing the price of historical objects, providing cash benefits to children, eliminating traffic congestion in Ulaanbaatar, and reducing air pollution. The National Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Mongolia, the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Kuwait, and the Embassy of Mongolia in Kuwait jointly organized the Kuwait Mongolia Business Forum on March 8, 2023 in Kuwait City. The business forum was attended by Mongolian Ambassador to Kuwait, Sirikling, the Mongolian President's Foreign Policy Advisor, Atwair, and the Head of the Foreign Affairs and Trade of Mongolian National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Durung, and more than 30 representatives of the private sector. The same number of representatives, led by Mr. Fahad Yaqub Al-Jwan, Vice President of Kuwait State Chamber of Commerce and Industry, participated in this forum. Mongolia's economy is dependent on the mining sector. The pandemic made Mongolia understand the importance of changing its economy. The National Chamber of Commerce and Industry has made a research conclusion that it is important for us to increase the average household income in a short time. Accordingly, cashmere agricultural products such as pine nuts and other plants, which are the most exported from Mongolia, and these products define non-mining exports. It is desirable to create a system that processes these structures themselves. The gap between the rich and the poor is widening as the income from the mining sector is not distributed evenly. Therefore, the way to increase the average household income in the shortest time is to develop the light industrial sector that processes agricultural products. The Mongolian delegation included representatives from a range of industries, including agriculture such as meat, dairy products and pine nuts, mining, tourism, cashmere and the petroleum sector. The aim of the forum was to foster greater trade and investment ties between the two countries and explore opportunities for cooperation. During the forum, the Mongolian delegation showcased their country's rich natural resources, investment opportunities, and business-friendly environment. The Kuwaiti business community expressed interest in exploring opportunities for investment in Mongolia's mining sector as well as in the agriculture and tourism industries. Mongolia is starting to pay attention to the Gulf countries. The Mongolian president believes that it is necessary to advance the relations with the Gulf countries to a different level within the framework of foreign policy. These countries are very special. In terms of communication, interpersonal communication is preferred, and Gulf countries also have many years of history and rich heritage. They are proud of their history, and they are special countries. Mongolia has a long-standing relations with Kuwait. Through the Kuwait Fund, Kuwait has been providing various types of support to Mongolia. We organized economic forums in Kuwait and Qatar. Also, the Chamber of Commerce and Industry came with representatives of 30 companies and met with Qatari and Kuwaiti individuals to exchange opinions on the agriculture and food sector. It is also one of the 3 national movements promoted by the President, the Industrial Revolution. The forum was seen as a positive step in strengthening the economic ties between Mongolia and Kuwait, with both sides expressing their commitment to enhancing bilateral cooperation. It is hoped that this forum will lead to increased investment and trade between the two countries and provide a platform for the business engagement in the future. During this week's regular cabinet meeting, the Minister of Economy and Development, Ulaanbaatar, discussed the rising prices of goods and services in Mongolia. According to data from the National Statistics Committee, the country's annual inflation rate stood at 12.2% as of February 2023. All this is decreased from the peak of 16.1% recorded in June 2022. It is still more than twice the central bank's target level. The decrease in inflation was attributed to a variety of factors, including an increase in official reserves of foreign currency, stabilization of the currency market, and a decrease in the price of goods and products in foreign markets. These factors have helped to reduce pressure on the depreciation of the MMT. Despite the decrease in inflation, certain factors have contributed to its continued high level. For example, the price of improved fuel has doubled compared to the same period last year. Additionally, although the price of diesel fuel has been stable recently, it has still increased by 28% compared to the same period last year, which has had a negative impact on inflation. Among food products, the prices of certain items have risen significantly. Flour and bakery products have increased by more than 50%, while milk and milk products have risen by more than 30%. Some vegetables, such as onions and potatoes, have also increased in price by about 30%. However, it is worth noting that while the prices of flour and milk have increased year on year, they have stabilized in recent months. To combat the issue of inflation, the Bank of Mongolia has increased the monetary policy interest rate 5 times in 2022 by a total of 7 percentage points. The Monetary Policy Committee decided to maintain the policy interest rate at 13% at its regular meeting in March 2023. The government is advised not to implement any measures that restrict market competition and to continue efforts to increase foreign currency reserves in order to reduce inflation in the future. In summary, while inflation has decreased from its peak in 2022, it remains at a high level, posing challenges to the country's economy. The government and the central bank are taking steps to address this issue, but it is clear that more work needs to be done to stabilize prices and ensure economic growth and stability. A bus used for 7 years or more emits the equal quantity of greenhouse gases as a 5-seater vehicle. However, analysts concluded that one bus emits about 40% of nitrogen oxide.
This continues to have a significant impact on increasing greenhouse gas emissions in the capital city. Therefore, there is a need to use electric and or gas engine buses in the public transport sector.
The high emission of toxic fumes is largely dependent on the age of the bus, and secondly, we need to improve the fuel the bus is running on in the future, because there is a requirement to increase the number of electric buses. Also, the number of buses running on natural gas should be increased. There is also a pressing need to update the public bus fleet. There are 54 electric vehicles in the city. We believe that there will be one charging station for every 4 vehicles. It is being studied that by placing these charging points at 25 different places, it will be possible for the vehicles traveling in that direction to recharge their batteries when they run low on charge.
Experts concluded that the amount of greenhouse gas emissions in the capital city, 34 million tons. Therefore, if this type of policy can be implemented by reforming public transportation, which has a negative effect on the environment, it is possible to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 22% by 2030.
In order to achieve this goal, there are additional costs compared to what it costs at the moment. However, the capital cities persistently carry out this reform. In 2023, innovation in public transportation could be a new technology to further reduce greenhouse gases.
Still, we have a lot of difficult elements in the society, but in the end, we can solve all the problems with a little bit of optimism in the end. So our finding is that if the city of Ulaanbaatar puts more effort, definitely we can improve the current situation. But I know that we cannot really achieve that certainly tomorrow in a week. But we really focus on the regulation issues and also the difficult reality of these Ulaanbaatar cities. And we are trying to compare with other the best practices in the world. So step by step, I think definitely Ulaanbaatar can make a progress. But I think the findings and our recommendations are not enough, and how to implement the policy measures can be more important. And if we make progress, it can have an impact on other cities in Mongolia. So in general, decarbonizing transport is not a transport question only, and it can really have an impact on the society in general.
By cooperating with the International Transport Forum, Mongolia has an opportunity to solve such social and environmental problems. Therefore, experts emphasize that cooperation is important in solving the above problems.
Well, that's all for this week. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you next week with more news and updates. Have a nice weekend. Goodbye.